Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, staying home, staying safe. This is a very difficult time for all of us. But fortunately, there are ways to spend this time, and stories are the best way to pass your time pleasantly. So, I'm going to read you a story from my collection, Sacked Folk Tales You Can Carry Around. The title of the story that I'm going to read is called Wisdom for Sale. Now, it sounds like a strange title, but let's find out what it's all about. A young boy named Buddhi lost his father after a long illness. He was barely done with the funeral rites when he realized that he was almost penniless. What was he to do now? He sat down and racked his brains, and then he came up with an idea which he thought would work well. So he went to the market and he looked for a cheap shop to rent. And then he put up a sign on top of the shop saying, Wisdom for sale. Since his name was Buddhi, he thought it would be a good idea to name the shop after himself. And as people went by, he began to call out, Wisdom for sale! Wisdom for sale! Hearing this, people laughed and said, Is he crazy? Can you buy wisdom? And no one ever stopped to buy his wisdom. Several days passed, but Buddhi didn't give up hope. He felt sooner or later somebody will come who needs my wisdom. And sure enough, one day a merchant's son who had more money than he had brains passed by and he heard Buddhi calling out. So he thought that wisdom was a kind of product. And so he said, Please give me 10 rupees worth of wisdom. Buddhi was absolutely overjoyed. So he promptly wrote on a piece of paper, A wise person will never stand and watch two people quarreling. The merchant's son went home happily and showed the piece of paper to his father. His father got furious. He said, You idiot! Everyone knows you should not stand and watch two people fighting. That rogue has swindled you. Immediately, he went to Buddhi's shop and said, Give me my money back. Buddhi replied, That's not a problem. If you don't want my wisdom, you can have your money back. But you have to return my wisdom to me. What do you mean? Asked the merchant. It means that your son must promise to always watch two people fighting. If he does otherwise, he will be making use of my wisdom. And you will have to sign an agreement promising that. The merchant had no choice but to agree, so he took his money back and felt he had a better part of the bargain. Now, the king of the country had two wives who never got along, and similarly, their servants too were always fighting. Now, one day, the older queen's maid happened to go to the market and she saw a nice fresh pumpkin for sale. Just as she was about to buy it, the second queen's maid came along and saw it too. Give me that pumpkin, she told the vegetable vendor. You'd better not, said the first queen's maid. I saw it first, and you have to give it to me. But you didn't buy it. I spoke first, cried the other maid. Everyone knows that I was here before you, shouted the first. Ladies, ladies, please, pleaded the vendor. Let me divide the pumpkin. I want it whole. So do I. You won't get it. That's what you think. So the quarrel continued. The merchant's son was passing by and he remembered his promise, so he stood there watching. Now the maids were quarreling so badly, they were beating each other up, so the vendor ran away and everyone else watching decided to make themselves scarce. Now, when the maids were quite tired with beating each other up, one said to the other, I will report you to my mistress and see that you're punished. And she turned to the merchant's son. You saw what she did. She hit me first. You witnessed it. You liar! "You hit me first," said the other maid. "You, boy, you must tell the truth." And both the maids rushed to their mistresses and complained. Both the queen sent for the merchant's son and insisted that he bear witness before the king for their respective maids, or his head would be struck off. The merchant's son was in a real fix. He went to his father and asked him to find a way out of this problem. The father cursed himself now for signing that agreement, so they decided to go to Buddhi and ask him to help them. When they reached Buddhi's shop and told him what had happened, he said, "I can help you, but I will charge 500 rupees for my wisdom." The merchant was so desperate that he was ready to pay anything now, so he agreed. "When the king summons you," Buddhi said, "pretend to be mad and talk nonsense." The merchant's son did as Buddhi had advised, and when he was asked to give witness, the king could make no sense of his nonsense, so he sent him away as a useless witness. Thus, his life was saved, and both the merchant and his son could not praise Buddhi enough. Word spread, and people began to come to him to buy wisdom whenever they had a problem to be solved. Now, there is more in this story, and I hope you will read the book. It's available as an ebook as well. So, thanks so much for listening, and stay home and stay safe. Goodbye now.